Joining us now to talk more about this, our political analyst, New York Post political columnist, Fred Dicker in Albany. And I don't see him, but I can hear him. So, Fred, let's get at it. Tell us a little bit about... I still hear you. So I think we just got to work through whatever this slide is here. And while we're doing that, fill us in a little bit on what the business groups are saying, why they don't want this minimum wage to go up, and how many jobs it might cost.
You know, people don't really realize it because polls show a lot of people support an increase in the minimum wage. But when the government mandates it, Liz, it's really a tax hike on businesses. And it's one thing down in New York City where there's a huge amount of prosperity, or in the Albany area where government employees are doing pretty well and government employment is up. But many places upstate, including here in the Capital District, small businesses are struggling, and a mandatory increase in the minimum wage beyond the one already set to take effect by the end of this year will be damaging to businesses. These business groups contend. They say it means less hiring. Oftentimes minimum wage employees are seasonal workers hired in the summer. There'll be fewer of them. In addition, just quickly, Liz, the timing of this announcement today was interesting because at the very time they're issuing the statement, the governor, Andrew Cuomo, is up at a Rochester business group saying how great things are and that the state has committed some $10 billion to upstate businesses. It turned out later on he was referring to, in part, $4 billion for the Tappan Zee Bridge down in Rockland County in Westchester County. I think a lot of people wouldn't consider that upstate. But it seems to me the business groups are trying to counter the governor's claim that things are rosy and doing well.
What is the governor's rationale then for, obviously, if he's going to tell these business people one thing, he's got to have a pretty strong reason to do something that they say isn't going to help them. What is his rationale for wanting to raise it?
There's a claim of increased income disparities between the wealthy and the poor, that there's a national sentiment out there, he argues, to raise the minimum wage, even though we already are raising it now. It was approved last year. Politically, though, there's a whole different agenda here. This is a national movement by labor unions and progressive Democrats, so-called, to champion low-wage earners, in part because the unions see an opportunity, if those wages are raised, to organize those workers and get them into the unions. So the governor, who's had trouble, as we've talked about many times, with the left wing or the progressive side of the Democratic Party, is trying to cater to them, win their favor, at a time when he's out of favor with a great many of them.
All right, Fred, and we obviously worked out some of the problems with Fred's report. Thank you, Fred. We'll talk again soon. We also want to remind you that you can hear Fred's radio program live from the state capitol. It's weekday mornings, 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM.